In the days when the sun lingered long over red earth and the nights were filled with the cries of distant drums, there lived a young boy named Obinna. He was small for his age, with ribs that pressed against his skin like the ridges of a yam tuber, and eyes that burned with the stubborn light of survival. His village was tucked deep within the folds of the forest, where palm trees swayed with the evening winds and the marketplace filled with laughter, gossip, and the clang of traders haggling. But Obinna did not know much laughter. His father had died before his memory could hold his face, leaving only his mother and him to struggle against the weight of life. Obinna's mother, Ngozi, was a woman whose hands never rested. She wove mats at night, carried firewood at dawn, and bent over the soil through the heat of noon. Yet no matter how hard she worked, the gods seemed to weigh heavily against her. Their heart leaked when the rains came, their granary was always empty before the next harvest, and the smell of meat was a luxury that sometimes passed through their nostrils only when neighbors cooked. Still, she held her son close, whispering to him, "My son, you are the staff of my old age. If you stand strong, I will not fall." Obinna grew with this in his chest, but the world was not kind. Other boys mocked him as they ran through the village square. "Look at the boy with the empty stomach," they would jeer. "Does the wind feed you? Does your mother cook with sand?" Their laughter would chase him like arrows. He often swallowed his tears, for he knew tears would not cook yam. Instead, he clenched his fist and promised himself that one day, he would find a way to fill not only his belly but also his mother's. But each day was a battle. At the stream, when children came to fetch water, he carried a pot too heavy for his thin arms, and often it slipped and cracked against the rocks. At the farms, when others carried hoes and sang work songs, his voice faltered because hunger had eaten the strength from his chest. Still, he pushed on, for his mother's tired smile gave him courage. Ngozi, seeing her son mocked and shamed, prayed each night before their small clay shrine. She broke kola nut and whispered, "Spirits of my ancestors, do not let the labor of my womb be wasted. Guide his feet to his destiny." But sometimes, it seemed as if the ancestors had closed their ears. For with each season, their poverty grew heavier. Then came the year when famine swept the village. The rains delayed, the earth cracked, and the yam vines withered. Families dug into the dry ground only to pull out shriveled roots. Many went hungry, and the mocking of Obinna grew sharper. Boys laughed, "Now even the dust you eat will run out." Yet in his hunger, Obinna learned how to search the forest for snails, how to set traps for grasscutter, how to pluck bitter leaves and boil them until they gave a thin soup that his mother and he could share. He began to spend long hours wandering the bush, listening to the calls of birds, reading the footprints of animals. Slowly, skill grew where once there had only been shame. One evening, when the moon rose red and round, Obinna returned with a rabbit dangling from his hand. His mother's eyes filled with tears as she roasted the meat. For the first time in months, they ate and slept with full bellies. Word spread, and some boys began to envy his catches. Yet envy turned again to mockery, for they said, "You eat bush meat like a wild dog. Real men harvest yams and bring home goats." Still, Obinna said nothing. His silence was not weakness but patience. As the seasons turned, he became skilled in ways the others were blind to. He knew where mushrooms hid after the rains. He knew which herbs healed wounds and which cured fevers. Sometimes he sold small bundles in the market, earning cowries to buy salt for his mother. The same boys who mocked him would watch, jealous, but still their tongues were sharp. Cowries from leaves. Next, he will sell the air he breathes, they sneered. Then fate moved. One market day, when Obinna was trying to sell a bundle of herbs, a stranger appeared. He was richly dressed, his wrapper shining with fine patterns, his staff carved with the head of a lion. He stopped before the boy's mat and asked, "Whose son are you?" Obinna bowed. "I am Ngozi's son, my father long gone." The man studied the herbs, sniffed the leaves, and nodded slowly. "You know their power." Yes, Obina answered. This one cools fever. This one drives out stomach worms. This one heals the skin when it burns. The man's eyes lit with interest. He bought the entire bundle, paying more than the herbs were worth. He asked Obina to bring him more the next market day. That was how Obina met his destiny helper, though he did not know it yet. The man was a wealthy healer from a far village, respected by chiefs and elders. He had been searching for a boy with sharp eyes and quick learning to train as an apprentice. He tested Obina further, asking questions, watching his steps. Each time, the boy's answers revealed a natural wisdom. The man finally said, "Follow me, and I will teach you. You will no longer wander mocked. You will walk with knowledge, and knowledge feeds not only the belly but the spirit." Obina's heart swelled. He rushed home to tell his mother. She smiled with joy and relief, for she saw her prayers had been heard at last. But fate, cruel and unyielding, struck just as hope rose. That night, Ngozi fell ill. Her body burned with fever, her breath rattled. Obina tried every herb he knew, but the sickness grew fiercer. He sat by her side, clutching her hand, whispering, "Do not leave me now. My destiny is opening, and I need you to see it." But the gods had written another ending for her. At dawn, as the first cock crowed, Ngozi sighed her last breath. Obina's cry shattered the stillness. He lay on her body, shaking, begging her to return. But she was gone. The village came to bury her. Some wept sincerely, others whispered, "How sad," just when her son's life was turning. The boys who mocked him fell silent that day, for death silences even the sharpest tongues. Obina felt the world collapse. Yet he remembered his mother's words, "You are the staff of my old age. If you stand strong, I will not fall." Though she had fallen into the earth, he vowed not to let her hopes die. With tears still wet on his cheeks, he went to the wealthy healer and said, "Teach me. Let me grow, so that my mother's spirit will know she did not labor in vain." And so began a new path. The healer took him under his wing. Days were long, filled with learning the secrets of roots and leaves, of chants and incantations, of the way the moon guided planting and harvest. Obina's mind opened like a calabash under rain. He grew strong, not just in body but in spirit. Years passed. The boy who had once been mocked became a young man whom chiefs called for healing. When sickness spread, it was Obina's medicine that cured. When women cried in labor, it was Obina's hands that guided them safely. He earned not only cowries but respect. Yet he never forgot. Each market day, when he walked through the stalls, he remembered the jeers of those who once mocked him. Some now bowed low to greet him, seeking his favor. But he bore no grudges. He only thought of his mother, whose grave lay beneath the old idolatry. He often sat there, laying kola nuts on the mound, whispering, "Mother, can you see me now? Your son has become more than they thought." And in the quiet rustle of leaves, he sometimes felt she answered. The story of Obina spread beyond his village, told under moonlight in other lands, of the boy who struggled to feed his mother, who was mocked by his peers, who found a destiny helper, and who lost his mother just as the door of greatness opened. It became a tale of sorrow and triumph, a reminder that suffering is not the end but a road that shapes the heart for greatness. Even now, when the night is deep and the fire crackles low, and the wind moves through the trees, some say you can hear a whisper, the sound of a mother's blessing carried to her son across the river of death. And the people remember that in every mocking laugh, there may be hidden the seed of tomorrow's praise.